Hello everyone. My name is Ritesh, and our today's topic for discussion is It's All in the Brain. Now, by hearing the topic, you might have guessed that today we are going to study about brain. Brain right here. But what related to that? So, it's all in the brain means what all things go inside our brain or are working inside the brain. So, all those things we are going to study and everything about brain. So let's do. So this is facts about brain. So our brain consumes 20% of blood oxygen in produced our body. So 20% of blood and oxygen produced by our body. This is a main and important fact which keeps our brain working, and it is important for it. And if it was not there, brain will stop working and eventually we will die. So it is the most important thing that we should have. And 20% of blood and oxygen produced in our body should be used by brain. Then our brain can generate enough power to light a small bulb. You might think that it would be slightly weird, but it is true. Our body generates slight amount of a very small amount of potential difference by which we can light a bulb. And in brain, particularly if we talk about our brain, so it generates enough power to light a small bulb, and it's a fact. It is tested, and there are around around 100 billion neurons present in our brain. You can guess 100 billion neurons. Neurons are the small cells, we can say, which usually transmits the signals from one part to another part in our brain. So there are around 100 billion neurons present in our brain, which communicate with other parts and transmit signals to brain back and forth continuously, so that our body will keep functioning flawlessly. So, and brain is responsible for all the things which we do. Like every activity is controlled by our brain. Like I'm talking to you, then I'm moving my hands, I'm moving front and back. So all these activities are majorly controlled, or we can say completely controlled by our brain. If it was not there, then these signals that, uh, for example, bending my finger, this signal would not be sent by our brain to our finger muscle, so that it would be not sent and this finger would not bend. So that's the major thing and the most important thing that we should know. And everything is controlled by our brain for us, of us. Then also brain can store memories and is also responsible for all calculations and all the things going around us. Knowingly or unknowingly, we may store some memories, like you may remember some of the events happened in your childhood, like a birthday, you may recall, or a family trip. Like these things, our brain stores in its memory. Also, responsible for all the calculations of all the things going around us. You may notice this thing while catching a ball. You try to judge the trajectory of ball, like how high it is, and then where it probably can come, or how, or at which position our hand should be there so that we can catch it. These all things are going inside our brain, and it basically calculates all these things without our knowns. Then there are basically two parts of the brain, and known as right brain and left brain. So right brain is mostly responsible for all the theoretical things or mathematical calculations or everything related to scientific activities, or with those activities which literally require some uh, hardcore memory things and workings or thinking capacities. So these all are done by our right brain, and our left brain is mostly used for the creative purposes. Like if you are you having a hobby of let's say playing a piano or having sports or doing arts, these all things are usually in our left brain. So right brain is mostly for scientific things, and left brain is usually for art things or creative things. So these are two major parts of our brain. Now, is an interesting experiment. So, material required is a measuring tape. You may have it in your home. Then a big chart paper, a transparent tape, and marker, colors, and paints, whichever you have available with you. So, the procedure is measure the distance between the center of your forehead and the back of your neck, and then draw a equivalent straight line on chart paper. Then draw a circle around the midpoint of this line. Now draw a detailed top view of brain. Refer to your books if you have. Then uh, desi- depicting the following part. Then occipital lobe, then temporal lobe, partial lobe, frontal lobe, cerebral cortex, brainstem, and cerebellum. So these all are name of parts of various parts in our brain. Then you can also use different colors to mark different sections and use an icon to represent that functioning. You can just draw an arrow like this if you want, and then write the name of it, which part is it, and then write the functioning. And if you want, you can just draw a box like this and can just write it in there. Then hold the sheet around your head so as to make a cap and get a picture click to preserve it as a note, so that at next time whenever you see that you may recall everything, and then you can just study it and have fun with your friends by showing them too. Now, let's see what is your next thing. So, discuss state of your brain when you are asleep. What do you think probably would be happening when we are asleep? What would be brain doing at that time? So, brain is still active when we sleep. In fact, the brain is more active in sleep than awake, and this is a fact that brain is more active in sleep when than we are awake. So you might notice things like at night time your brain would be functioning better, so that you can do things much better in night. So this is basically our state of brain when we are asleep. So what happens to our brain when we dream? You might always have a dream while sleeping in night, and you might later or in morning you may have recalled that, yeah, I had this, and whatever in your dream you may recall. But what do you think dreams are? Because we are asleep, but brain is active. So brain tries to create some memories at that time. So it usually appears for us as a dream or a sequence of those activities, which we call as dream. So we all have dream, but have you ever imagined what happens to the brain while we dream? That's what I just told you. Have you imagined how we see a dream? And for the answer, that is, we see a dream like then we see a dream because our brains usually thinking about it or imagining those things, and then it show us in a type of movie, or that our eye sees that inside going inside in our brain. Our brain is constantly active while we sleep, and that's why it shows up the visualization as and we think while we're sleeping. This is what we call it as a dream. Like I just told you that our brain is active, and while asleep, it shows us a visualization of things which are going on inside our brain. So we call it as a dream. So what things we learned today? Our brain can generate enough power to light a small bulb. This was a weird fact, but it is a fact. Our brain consumes 20% of blood and oxygen produced in our body. The brain is active when we are asleep. In fact, the brain is more active when we are asleep than awake. So that's all for today. If you have any questions, you can just drop down in the comments and I will try to answer them. Thank you.